Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Elena Whitham in securing this debate. Now, challenging poverty is a decades-long fight, but it did become more acute in the early 1980s after the election of the Margaret Thatcher government, and also certainly in recent years. Now, I will agree with Jeremy Balfour on one point. Jeremy Balfour spoke about the third sector and the hugely important role that they play, and they do, and I do agree with you on that, Mr Balfour. I am a board member of a... Sorry. Sure.
Pam Duncan-Glancy.
I thank the member for taking the intervention. Will the member join Jeremy Balfour and I and Paul Bradley from SCVO in asking the Cabinet Secretary to meet them to talk to them about the potential of multi-year funding and look at the realities of what that could be so that they can deliver it in Scotland?
Stuart McMillan.
I have said in this chamber before that I personally think that multi-year funding is the right way forward, but when you've actually got a chaotic situation of budgets from Westminster to this Parliament, then it actually makes it really difficult, possibly can nigh on impossible, for any Scottish Government in this Parliament to actually produce longer-term budgets. But I do, well, sorry, 2 seconds, but I do generally believe longer-term budgets will actually be better for Scotland. But actually, if we didn't have to rely upon Westminster to get the money here, then if we were an independent country, then actually we wouldn't have that particular problem. I'll take your intervention.
Jeremy Balfour.
I'm grateful. I mean, I think I understand where the member's coming from, but would you recognise that you and I will be paid for the next 3 years, that the civil service in Scotland will be paid for the next 3 years, that lots of people, NHS staff, will be paid for 3 years? Why is the voluntary sector the exception to the rule?
Stuart McMillan.
Once again, as I said a few moments ago, that if we actually didn't have to rely upon that particular funding, no, Mr Balfour, it's a fact, and Mr Balfour knows it's a fact. If we actually had all the powers of independence here, then we wouldn't have that particular situation. But I was touching upon me being a board member of a local organisation. It's something that I've heard from people within the organisation about the issues of poverty that they have actually faced. Now, Presiding Officer, undoubtedly the cost of living crisis and political decisions from Westminster are not helping. The two-child limit, universal credit 5-week delay, the removal of the universal credit £20 uplift last year, and also the bedroom tax, to name just 4 examples. Austerity measures from Westminster are not something anyone can be proud of, whether it's Tory cuts or the beginning of austerity cuts under the last Labour UK government. It's clear that Westminster does not work for the working class and working class communities. And one of the most important aspects of the cost of living crisis is that of energy. No one in energy-rich Scotland should be worried about putting on heating in their house. The regulation of energy in Britain is broken and it doesn't work for Scotland. Scotland pays to generate the energy, to put it onto the grid. But in the south of England, they're actually paid to generate it. Now, that patently is unfair. In reality, Presiding Officer, we have got the energy but not the power. Now, Presiding Officer, Pam Duncan-Glancy spoke of her party and their political ambitions. We have heard these claims before. Nothing will change under Labour if they are elected to the UK government. They are joined at the hip with the Tories, as many local authorities in Scotland will prove. David Torrance, sorry, I've already given way. David Torrance spoke about a constituent. Now, yesterday I held a joint heating surgery with my local MP, Ronnie Cowan. And I would like to thank Home Energy Scotland and also the Oak Mall Shopping Centre in Greenock for their assistance. Now, one constituent came to speak to me. There was a number there, but one in particular. She indicated to me that she spends most of her time in one room in her house. When she leaves that room and goes through the rest of the house, she doesn't put the light on in the house. She uses a torch to go through the house. She doesn't want to put on the lights because she's worried about the cost of energy. She's very careful about what she does.
The member will be concluding his remarks shortly.
She's very careful about what she does and about the amount of energy that she uses. No, not one resident in Scotland, whether it's in my constituency or elsewhere, not one resident in energy-rich Scotland should be living like that. We in Scotland, if we want to tackle poverty, fully, we need to have the powers over energy regulation, the financial powers, but ultimately independence to actually help our constituents and our communities. And once again, I do want to thank Elena Whitham for securing this debate.